Hello, beautiful humans. Welcome back to Teach Jenn Tech. It has been a hot minute. I had like a guest, I think, last Monday, and doing co-working with Jen by myself was just really awkward, especially because I've had to work on podcast stuff that I didn't do the last few days. So thank you, everyone, for your patience. And I am very excited because today we have Bakari on, not Bacardi, Bakari,
That's right.
which is just a really cool name, by the
Yes.
way.
Thank
Do
you.
you know the origin of the name, or was it just like
I
something your mom was like, "That's cool"?
yeah, they were like reading the ingredients on the back of a bottle. Oh, Bakari. No, seriously, it's an African name. And it is Swahili. Um, my full name is actually Bakari Ayinde Holmes, and
Oh wow, okay.
yeah, so I think Ayinde is Yoruba, and Bakari is Kiswahili, and it means of noble promise.
Ooh,
Yes, so that's where that
nice,
comes from. And
nice.
Ayinde means praise. Yeah,
In noble promise praise. I dig it.
it doesn't really like go together, but they're
It
two different
can,
names.
it can today. No, I'm
Yeah,
just kidding. I'm just saying that because it's like your full
praise the
name,
noble promise.
because it's your full name. But
Yeah.
well, thank you for letting me go off on that total random side note. Please introduce yourself and what you're teaching me today.
So as you said, I'm Bakari Holmes. I am a full stack front end leaning developer. I'm also a musician, content creator, physicist, teacher, dad, a whole bunch of stuff. Today we are going to be going over, um, integrating Square. You guys have seen Square,
It's the payment thing, right?
yeah,
Just to like, I feel
payment.
like I know what Square is because I've helped a friend on a coffee truck before, and she had like the little app. Um,
Mhm.
so, but if you had to explain Square to like somebody who had no idea what it is, how would you explain it?
I would say it's Square is a whole bunch of things, but what we are going to be dealing with today is software that makes it very easy for you to take payments on the go. So let's say if you had a website, like say me, like say if you're a musician and you wanted to sell merch to people, and you wanted to add that ability to take payments for that merch, Square offers some APIs that make it pretty simple to add that. And I have today a way of doing that allows you to build it without having to use Python and Django and then React and then something else for your back end. It's all one thing, one framework. So we're going to do it in one framework.
I feel like I am gonna ask you a difficult question, at like as soon as we go, with when I worked at Stoplight and I was like learning from the engineers about more of like what is an API and what Stoplight specifically does to get ready for their learning services stuff. I was asking everyone, what is an SDK and the difference between an API and an SDK? And so many individuals had different answers to the question. So
I'm
I'm
probably going to have a
curious.
different answer.
Yeah, I'm curious how would you explain what an SDK is by itself, and then how would you compare the two?
So an API can be something as simple as you have an endpoint, which basically an endpoint looks like a URL, right? It has
Mm-hmm.
this address. And when you go to this address typically does one thing. It returns you some JSON, right? JavaScript object notation. And this JSON has like a response. So you say, hey, I want to know how many people are a part of this band. And then an API returns and says, here's a list of the people in this band. It's this person, this person, this person, this person. Or you could say, hey, there's another endpoint that says, hey, who's the drummer?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You just so that's an API. What an SDK does, an SDK is meant to allow you to build an app or integrate some technology into your existing app quicker. So it's called a software development kit. So you can think of it like kind of a tool belt, right? You can add these tools to your existing skill set or to your existing code. In this case, we are going to take some React components that are built on top of Square's SDK. And all we have to do is add these components to our project, and we can, add payments with a little bit more code. So then we don't have to leave JavaScript at all. And I love timed apps like that you don't have to leave JavaScript.
That is very cool. And I know when I was working with Ramon last week, and he's been on the show twice, we actually worked on not only building an API, and I believe we were using Express, but then we also used Mongo and MongoDB to build the database, and we did it as like kind words. So if I add like comments that people have given me, so that way I have like, a happiness like spurt, so that way, if I'm feeling down, I can look at them all, where it would actually start listing them out as the endpoints. And that was really cool, being able to see that and kind of, after being in the API world for so long, like actually see how a bare basic API can be built. Because I was like, oh, it's not as hard as I once imagined.
No. And an API can be one endpoint. It can be a whole bunch of endpoints together, and then you call that an API. An API is really wherever you want to draw the line. There are like huge complex APIs that like deal with cybersecurity for, there's APIs that deal with traffic to, maybe a group of websites. So there's APIs that just, you call them and they just return, like I was talking about, you call them and they just return one thing. So like at its most basic level, I like to explain an API that way. I feel like those more complicated APIs are just a more complicated version of something that's very simple.
That's something that Mishko was talking about when he came on to like go over quick, was especially, and told me that he was telling his kids this, of like, you just learn the basics and all these fundamental things that are all pretty basic, and then build upon them. And I was like, when you think about it like that, it's not as daunting getting into the coding and tech world. It's just looking big picture, like wanting to understand why we need to scale and create governance in APIs is very big picture, is very needed, yet daunting at this level.
Right.
So thank you. I appreciate the explanation.
Yeah, no problem. So let's jump into my little deck that I have here. If you want to do that right now, unless you have
I'm down.
Comment or anything.
No, I'm learning the clicky on StreamYard. Gotta learn how to use all that. I know how to use it, but I never am like doing it on time.
Yeah. Okay. So this is dun 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 dun. Sorry, I always do sound effects and stuff.
Yay!
I think that's fireworks.
Okay. I mean, that one kind of reminds me of Star Wars.
Don't get me started.
But no, like when they're the old school Star Wars, not like the ones that have been made in like the last 20 years, but the old school ones. Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, we are going to go, and I didn't mention, but we are going to use Next.js. That is a React full stack framework. It is made by, or it's owned by Vercel. I don't know if it's made by Vercel, but it's owned by Vercel. Someone from Vercel can probably correct me on that. But we're going to just build a demo. This is really going to be, it's not going to look pretty, but it's going to be functional. And again, it's going to be the simplest thing we can build in Next.js that has the Square integrated into it. And then from there, later on, you can build on it. You can add to it, and it'll have payments attached to it. So
that's really cool. I'm almost starting to wonder, because Anthony taught me how to, and it was very much front end of how to use to create a React app with Vite and Vercel, and then Ramon taught me how to do the API with, as I said, with Express.js and Mongo. And then learning this, I'm like, eventually I'm going to get to the point where I can mush them all together.
Yeah. And there's going to be some overlap with, I can't remember the name of the gentleman that was talking about Quick.
Mishko.
So there's going to be some overlap with that and the API and the React. This actually, in some ways, is going to bring those things together, hopefully.
Nice.
So because we are going to be building a full stack by just going create Next stack. And I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but I'm really excited because Next allows you, it looks like it's front end code, but it's actually full stack. There's just a whole bunch of stuff that's abstracted away from you. In other words, it's there, but the way that it's built, it's a really nice experience. And all you have to do is type some JavaScript, and then you run your server, and boom, everything is there. There's a server. We can build an API. So we're going to be doing that. Okay, here's the situation. My parents went away on a week's vacation. So the situation is, and I think I already explained this. I'm thinking of a use case, and the use case for me is I'm a musician. I actually have a band page, and on that band page, I can't sell merch, but I want to be able to sell merch, and I want to be able to take payments for that. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, I really like JavaScript land. I like staying in JavaScript land. So what is the least number of frameworks, right? Because we could use an endless number of frameworks. We could use something for CSS. We could use something for HTML. We could use something for our front end JavaScript. We could use something for our middleware like Express, our middle layer, and then we could use like Node. So we can continue to multiply. If we want to do testing, we can introduce frameworks for testing. But what's the least number of frameworks needed to build a Square app in JS?
When this question is appropriate, I'm not sure when. I'm curious what would be the perks of doing this compared to like something that's a bit less technical of like an iframe.
An iframe.
Granted, that is HTML, and iframes don't always work in general. And I'm gonna Google it because I know what an iframe is, and I'll work on describing it. But then I'm gonna Google it and see if it tells me what it is. Actually, iframe is where it can take a portion of an app or a website, and you can embed it into another website using HTML, meaning that it is just a frame of a selected area.
Right. So
that is my impression of it.
Yes. So what I would guess, and I'm not the expert on this. Actually, the Square folks are, and I don't work for Square. Just
maybe someday. Come on, Square.
Maybe we'll see. Are you guys watching? Did you hear that?
We'll tag them. And be like, yo, Square.
Yo, like, Square, what up, y'all?
Yeah.
Square Block, one of those. In case you don't know, I am looking for a job right now. That was the plug. Yeah. I can't even remember what I was saying.
The difference between an iframe, having it as an iframe, and
so when we finish, we're going to have an app, and what Next.js is going to do, it's actually going to create HTML. It's going to add event listeners. It's going to have all of the things that a typical website would have. And we could take an iframe from that website we've built, a portion of it, and we could display it somewhere. So, for instance, it could be like a payment box, and we could use that iframe somewhere else. So yes, we could use an iframe, but you need the HTML. Okay. Either way, you're going to need the HTML, and then from that HTML, you can take that frame and put it somewhere.
And it's not going to necessarily do exactly what we want it to do. We're building it into the site with Next, we're on Next right now. Sorry, I was getting my frameworks all funky, it's going to be able to display what we want it to display. I'm
Yes,
thinking
and
probably going to be more reliable.
I'm not sure what, I haven't worked with iframes a ton. I've worked with them a little bit, but like I would venture, if I were to venture a guess, then I would think that iframes are a little bit more limited in their functionality and what they're able to do. Now, I'm not trying to hate on Apple. I'm just saying that particular technology is made for a specific use case.
Yeah.
So, whereas Next is made for like for a wide general purpose, full stack programming purpose. So, anything you want to build, essentially, that's full stack. Could be built. Yep. So anyways, the answer is 1. Do we have like a clap thing?
Yay!
Oh, all right, we're doing ghetto. We're clapping ourselves. Okay. So if you use Next.js, in my opinion, building this way will lead to a better developer experience because developers that already know Next or know React, which there's a lot, they'll be able to quickly spin this up. It supports full stack React, optimizations, easy API design. We actually are going to build an API today. It's only going to take like 20 lines of code, but we'll build an endpoint in Next in a folder. It's so cool. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Yay.
It's really easy to spin up. It's wildly popular. So that's why I'm doing it this way. This is just kind of the justification for why it's being built this way. Between the Square API, which we just talked about, right? Between the Square Web Payments SDK. So within all of the Square APIs, there's one that's specific. There's APIs that are specific for web payments. That's taking payments on the web. So there's like mobile, and there's all these different other ones. There's actually I don't know them all, but
you'll learn them all. It'll be good.
I will. I've been poking around their docs actually, and I've just been hanging out in the web payments.
I dig it because you can tell you're passionate about it, just as like a side point, because like so many, that is something that I really love about this show is people always come on to talk about what they're passionate about. And thank you. And please continue.
Within those Square APIs, there is the web payments APIs, and they took those web payments as APIs and wrapped them up in a web payments SDK. So if you use this web payments SDK, you can again more easily build an app with that. You can make the Square API calls and all of that stuff. You can have that functionality that Square affords you. We want to use React. We want to use the component-based architecture that React has, and also, the API endpoints. Between all of that, there's lots of complexity. So let's try to simplify this down so we have happy campers like that. Yes,
they do look very happy.
Yes, they do, and these are actual satisfied customers. Yes, they are. So what I have here is a picture of Next.js, and it's all one code base. And then in your Next.js are different folders. And what we're going to do is a group of folks, I think they are kind of international. A group of folks actually took the Square SDK and they created what's called a React wrapper. And essentially, they took the Square SDK and they took that logic and they stuck them in different components. And then they put them on GitHub and they said, hey, world, use these. It makes it even easier because now all you have to do is import those components to your next project. And then you can use those components to build and add payments to an app. So essentially, all you're doing is once you have installed it, the wrapper and the SDK, then you can just import it.
Dig it.
Okay. So now we're down to just React Square Web Payments SDK, which if you Google that, you'll come up with the GitHub, and we're going to actually add it at our CLI, our command line, and Next.js. We just have those two things. So we'll stay in a React context. You can quickly integrate.
Okay.
There's so many like nerdy references in here, like one framework to rule them all.
I mean, see, I'm so new that I didn't even like know.
That I believe is Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay.
Like one ring to rule them all.
Yeah, that does make sense. I'm actually been working through watching all of them, rewatching them in like the last month. So I probably should have known that one.
Yes. We will get off on so many tangents. And then React context. There's actually a feature in React called context, and I was using the word context, so that was like really nerdy, like double speak.
I dig it.
There's probably like a couple React developers going, oh, I got it.
I'm glad they are, because, like I'm learning all of this, and like I get excited when I get like one like reference and I'm like, all the other ones got over my head, but yeah. I got that one.
So this slide here, I like to go over this because this is going to kind of try to solidify. It's just another visual way to explain the architecture of what we're actually building, because we're going to like type a few lines and it's going to be like, boom, it's already there.
Right.
So sometimes it can feel like, well, how do we do that? Mm-hmm. So there is the Next.js. We are going to npm install that SDK, React Square Web Payments SDK, and also the Web Payments SDK. We're going to npm install that. So within that, there are a couple components. There's ACH, which is like, I think, direct debit, and then credit card pay.
Yeah.
So there's those two types that we're going to use and add to our project. Some of the benefits specifically for Next.js, it allows for, and I'm not going to go a lot into this because I know you already had someone come on and talk about this, but server-side rendering and static site generation. So it affords you that out of the box. Once you do create Next app, you've already got it. Prefetching allows you, like if you have a link or a route, or if you have a fetch call, sometimes it can actually get that data before you make that call. So then when you make that call, the response comes really quickly.
Okay.
So it improves your, again, the purpose is to optimize or to speed up how long it takes for you to spin up this app, or to render it on the screen, to render it or paint it, whether it's the first paint or the second paint on your browser. Optimizations like code splitting. I'm gonna slow down with this. So code splitting is you take your JavaScript and essentially it's divided up into modules or pieces, and instead of loading it all at once, it's loaded in chunks.
Oh, that's kind of like what Quick does, because Quick only loads it when you need it, instead of, like, for example, loading an entire page at the beginning. It makes it so that way it does render a lot quicker. It is
that, what you just said. You got it.
Yay, learning.
Gold stars. Yes. You blew up the Death Star. I can just keep going here.
I dig it.
And then tree shaking essentially looks at your code and sees if there's any dead pieces of code that like are no longer needed, and then removes them. So then again, that if a reload needs to happen, it happens faster.
Real quick, I'm just gonna say hi, Rizal.
Oh, Rizel's here. What's up, girl?
For anyone
That's so
watching,
silly.
like, you have to follow Rizzo. Like, she is
Yes.
just like one of the coolest humans in the world. So
Yeah, that is
please.
true.
I know that I follow most people on Twitter. She is the GitHub dev advocate. So follow her on GitHub too. Like, seriously, just a legit human.
That is right. She's part of our render ATL crew.
Yes. And I like
missed
that I
it.
keep hearing about it, like without meaning to. I just keep meeting people that have gone to that. And I'm like, yes, that's
Yeah.
cool.
That's right. So Ing was saying, oh, Webpack.
Mhm.
So I'm not gonna go deep into Webpack, but it's essentially she said, yeah, you're in their ATL crew. Shout it out. Webpack is a system that allows you to take your modules and your dependencies and all these different things and bundle them up into some nice JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. So that Webpack system is built in. I believe it's Webpack 5 at this point that Next.js is using. So all of these features are all built into Next.js. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is cool.
Yeah. So Next.js, you can entirely build this essentially in React components.
Okay.
You don't need to fool around with HTML. I think there's a very small amount of HTML, but it's essentially like 100% like React components almost.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're building a React app, you use create React app. With Next, you use create Next app. And similar to your base level scaffolding for create React, you're going to build base level scaffolding for Next. So we're going to do that on the command line.
Sweet.
And let me see if we're going to do that now. Let me see what was. Yes, we are. So,
Sweet.
Okay. What I want you to do is go ahead and go to your command line.
All right. I don't think that I can keep both of our screens up. So I'm going to start sharing my screen and then you can tell me what to type.
Okay. Sounds good.
Voila. And I got to make this like giant. Oh, wrong page. Wrong page. There we go. That one's back to normal. And this one is so much bigger. Yay. Okay. And then I don't believe I've installed Next yet. Like I think I have React, Express.
Yep.
So yes. And then let me go to, shoot. This is when it's not like a good thing that I haven't done it in like a week because I'm like, wait, what do I do? And I need to go to.
I was just going to say, you can do CL, you can do LS to see what's in your directory. There.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. Just list. I don't know where you have your coding projects. Rizal could probably school us on like how to organize your folders using some fancy Git thing.
Probably. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah.
So much to learn. Okay, so I'm in the proper folder now.
Okay, got it. All right. So what you're gonna do is you're going to npm install. So npm space install and then -- save.
-- save. Like that.
And then it's going to be React. Actually, you know what? I'm going to send this to you. Actually, I can put it in. Oh, I can't put it in the comments.
You should be able to put it in the comments, I would think.
I can put it in the private chat, but there's no.
All right. Well, it'll show up on the screen so they'll see it.
Okay. So it is React. Make sure I spell this right. --web --payments --SDK. Then I'm just going to type the whole thing so we're not going back and forth. Web -SDK. Then next Transpile modules, and then Square. All right, so that whole thing.
All right. Give me a second. Oh, geez. Okay. And then it's
so this is the magic.
Then that, right?
Yeah, it's gonna go and do the magical npm install. So this is kind of the magic, right? So we're taking that third-party React, library that was created that has the Square SDK built into it, into the components. And then we need Square SDK, Web SDK. We need the Next Transpile modules, and we need overall Square, so we can do certain functions.
Got it.
Let me see. I can't really see, but did it?
Oh, yeah. Let me make it bigger. See, this is. I have to wear my glasses for these live streams because I'm like, I can't see.
Yeah.
But
all right. Awesome.
One package is looking for funding. Run npm fund for details.
Yeah. So if you could actually do that, but some of these are like open source projects that they need money to run. Yeah.
Yeah. This is telling us to go to GitHub to find it.
Yep. And again, Rizal knows all about open source. Shout out to Open Sauce. Is it Open Sauce or Open Sauce? That is B Dougie has a great open source. B Dougie is at GitHub as well.
Nice.
Just a little plug there. See, just plug in my friends here. That's
what we have these platforms for, is because like we gotta shout out other people.
Yep.
That's what community is about.
Yeah, that's right. So now we have those packages, and what we want to do is I want you to actually now open up your VS Code.
Okay, I'm gonna see if it does it. What is it? .code to normally open up?
Code space dot.
Code space dot. I don't think it'll do it. Yeah, I need to. I actually got the instructions how to update that in the shell commands. I just haven't done it yet.
Oh, okay.
So I basically continue these, and then file, new text file. We'll just do this, and then I believe it's Shift Command P. Do this, and voila.
So we actually.
It just takes like 7 more steps.
Yeah, we need to generate the next. The next scaffolding. So from your shout out to open source. Yeah. So we just need to do create -next -app.
And is there any spaces in there?
Nope, it's all one. Oh, I forgot. Oh, wait a minute.
I might have to install Next.
I think so. Yeah. Oh, so let's go to just Next.js. Look, I'm Googling it right now. Actually, why don't you Google it on your screen so people can see?
I was going to say, let me bring this over and make this bigger. My profile, because Rizal told me to set it up, so I did. Okay, so we want to install Next.js.
There you go.
Getting started with Next.js.
Get started. There it is.
Automatic setup, create app, Next.js. So it would it be?
Oh, I forgot. It had to have npx in front of it.
What is the difference between npx and npm?
I believe npx takes something if you don't have something and installs it for you. I have to look that up, but I'm pretty sure npx is like a dynamic thing, and npm takes the latest version and then installs it. What is your project? Oh, that's nice.
But it does. Oh, I can't use capital letters. Fine.
Bakari is dope. This is sometimes true.
There we go. See, I'm remembering how to do this from when Ramon had it created a project name and you had to go through each of the steps on Express. See if I remember all of them.
So this has a bunch of if you can see all of the stuff: React DOM, React scheduler, source map, TS library, Next environment. You see that? All those direct dependencies. All of those are built into Next. V8 compile cache. Yeah, it's a whole bunch of cool stuff.
We can move this one back over. All right, so we have this. So now I should be able to do code space dot. And it has it right here. So I guess that works.
It is. There it is. All right, so there's a few places we want to look. Go to pages, please, and expand that. So there's API there.
Okay.
We're going to use that later, but if you can expand API. And hello.js, I want you to change that to pay.js. You change the name of that. Oh, sorry, PAY.
Oh, I heard hey, and I was like, all right, let's do hey. I like it.
We could do hey,
But yeah, let's do pay.
Okay, and then we're gonna need index.js, of course, and we're gonna need something called next.config.js, which is down a bit.
This one?
Yep, right there. Okay, so let me pull out my. This is going to be a bit. Can I show you my screen?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to switch back over. Okay.
Can you make yours bigger too, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
I just saw it on the screen. I was like,
thank you. Perfect.
Boga. Okay, so you're going to do a couple things. One, you're going to create a variable called with_tm, and it's going to be require, which is there's import and require, which do really, really similar things, and they have some small differences.
Okay.
Being import versus require.
Okay.
Typically, require is used on the back end, and import is used on the front end. That's not a good way to explain it, but that's typically where they're used because of the Node.js environment versus the browser environment, and whether the browser can recognize require and whether it can recognize index.js. Some newer browsers might be able to recognize that now, so that might not be true. But I think typically that's where I've seen require. So you're going to put in there, you're going to put three things. You're going to put this Next Transpile modules. Remember we npm installed that?
Mm-hmm.
So what we want to do is in our code, we want to actually import that in.
Oh, yeah. We did that with having to use Express. We had to tell it to use Express.
Yep. And this Next Transpile modules just has to do with the way that Next translates one version of JavaScript into another version of JavaScript. Like say if a browser can only run ES5, which is the 2014 or 2013 version of JavaScript. It can translate different versions of JavaScript in the Next environment. So, and it can also translate, say something's just a file in a folder, it can actually translate it to actually be a full endpoint. So it does a lot of that work for us. So then also we want Square Web SDK.
Okay.
Here at Square Web SDK, and then comma. So we want this in require and then open paren, not bracket, open paren, and then open quote next-transpile-modules.
Okay.
And then close quote and close paren.
All right. So can you do me a favor and It's not at the beginning of the line, is it?
This is line 2. This is just a comment.
Yeah. Okay. So it's const. That's what I couldn't see. So I just wanted to take a look.
This is just a constant. We're not going to be reassigning with TM to anything else, so we can use const. Let me see here. Now, see here. Okay, so here, I just sent that line to you.
Now I should be looking at that, but now I'm just seeing if I can actually type it right.
Oh, okay. You get the constant with TM?
Yes.
Okay. So
well, go back to the very beginning. Let me just make sure with TM. Okay, so that's where.
Yeah, TM is capitalized.
Cool. It's nice. It's nice. The reason I want to do this is just to ensure that I'm starting to remember all of the steps and not skipping over something because I'm not used to typing it. Like I've been really bad at commas. Commas have not been my friends.
Commas are very important.
Yes.
In JavaScript, like if you have an object, if it doesn't see a comma, it's going to either freak out and yell at you. If you have like a linter, you know what a linter is?
Yes.
So if you have a linter, the linter is going to scream at you. Or if you have some kind of build system that like uses a linter to check, it will yell at you as well from your command line. Or your code will just break and it won't work. Which would be very sad.
Can you scroll the rest of the way?
Yes,
please?
I can. Which over here?
Yeah. Dash. Okay. And close bracket. Well, I think I'm close. I might have something a little different. Let's see. Require. Where am I getting that I have a? Oh, that's where. Okay.
I just realized we also didn't set you up a Square developer account.
Oh, yeah, we got to do that too, huh?
Yeah.
All right. I will share my screen and get to that point.
Yeah, these were things I had set up before. Can you just tell your linter to fix it automatically? That's actually a really good question. So can I address this one?
Yeah, for sure. Because this is Anthony. He's the one who helped me on the React app with Vercel, Vite and Vercel.
So yes, to a certain extent, the linters they're starting to make are getting really, really smart. And they have like, if you're making an object and you start to make an object, it'll actually put the structure there for you. There's things like Prettier. There's certain code editing and beautification tools that will actually help you write code. So it'll make it easier. It's not going to. Well, actually, I don't know. Some of the things that GitHub is creating, maybe it's going to replace us altogether. We won't need coders. I don't know. Maybe Rizal can answer that. But yes. To some extent, yes, your linter can fix things automatically, or can tell you, give you suggestions about how to fix what you just wrote. It's saying, maybe saying, hey, your comma's missing, or did you mean this? Like suggestions.
His reply.
He said I should use a linter, but I don't. But my code is already beautiful. How dare you? That's funny.
All right. So I got the account set up. I'm just making sure it's not going to make me verify my account.
Yeah, we are going to need a sandbox. We're going to need sandbox values. So go ahead and create an application.
Yay. So do I name the application same as what I named the files?
Sure.
Okay. Oh, it's not going to let me.
It's because Bakari is dope. Of course you can name it that.
Yeah.
I need a pat on the back as much as I can get it these days.
Anthony, you gotta be back on the show because I've started like naming it after my guest and it makes it a lot easier to remember. And so, Anthony, you have to come back on the show. Just saying.
Yes, especially if he writes beautiful code that doesn't need a linter.
Yes.
He
yes.
should be back on the show. He should replace me right now.
Well, no, because I definitely want him back on the show when we get into Web3. In fact, he was like one of the people that I first met, and he was like, "Don't even pay attention to Web3 or any of that yet. Just no."
Right.
No, I'm not just calling it Tuesday. No.
That's funny.
It is an improvement. I didn't know what to do it. You were like my second guest
folks.
ever.
He's leveling up.
All right. So I got my Sandbox account.
Okay, Sandbox test account. What does it say there on the screen about Sandbox? Because that's what we want to use.
Okay, default test account. Open.
What does that add?
Add another Sandbox account, I think.
What is that? It says Sandbox seller account show you. Oh, it just says learn more. Okay, let's click add. Account name. You can name it whatever you want.
Okay. Well. Automatically create authorizations. I'm guessing that's a yes.
Yep. We're going to need an authorization code.
All right. So
because the reason why we're doing all of this is we don't want to put a real credit card in there and real names and real addresses that have to be authenticated by Square because they're a serious company. And if you say this is a credit card and it's like the real version, the production version of the API, it's going to charge the credit card.
Yeah, don't want to do that.
We don't want to do that. And we don't want to be putting that information up, on the screen.
Yeah, that is, Anthony has taught me lots about not, using Twitter because a lot of times it'll keep your DMs open or your calendar or anything. Yeah. So I'm getting better at that stuff. So I like the call out. All right. So open Square SDK Learning.
And so there's 3 values we're going to need.
Ooh.
Look at that.
Something went wrong with your app arrangement. You can continue to use these apps as normal or refresh and try again.
Okay,
We'll do that.
You can try to refresh.
Oh, sure.
Payments. All right, let's go to home. Oh, I think that's home. Okay. And then let's go to account and settings. Okay, there's nothing there. All right. And let's go back to the hamburger menu or the hamburger menu. There we go. Let's go to payments. Down there, payments. Invoices, virtual terminal, subscriptions. Somewhere there is, oh, you know what? I can do it on my screen, on my account.
What are we looking for?
We're looking for the place where the authorization token is. And there's also an app ID and a location ID that should have been generated for you. Square Developer Dashboard. Do you have a sign-in?
App integrations, maybe?
Try that. Sandbox. Let's say that. What? Here's permissions.
I think it's the same thing.
There's actually, you know what? There's a dashboard. Let me see here. I'm gonna sign into mine.
Now I'm just honestly clicking through everything to see if I can find it, because as again, like Ramon and Anthony and so many keeps telling me to actually do like read the documentation. And I'm like, no, I just want to click through it. I want to find it myself, where it could take like half the time to do that. And Anthony just said, this is a good way for me to learn. Getting an API key, try and navigate docs is like half of what you do with services like this.
Yep.
I will say, I do want to say that I have set up API keys with Zapier and Monday.com, and I got really excited being able to do it.
Yeah.
It's a very silly one, but I was very excited.
We gonna get it. So I just sent you a URL that should help speed up. I put it in the private chat.
Dope. Look at this.
It's gonna ask you for your login likely. Whoa, page not found. That's not good.
Developer dashboard.
We were just there. Let's open your application.
This one? The one up above?
Yep, the one you created. There we go. I think that's what we need right there. Bakari is dope. And if you scroll down,
yay,
application ID, you're going to need that in our app. And then the access token we're going to need. And then there's also a location ID, which if you on the left hand side, yeah, you see where it says locations. Yeah, so you see that location ID. So let's have you copy those three values. Like you can put it on a notepad or however you organize your information.
A lot of times, and I don't know if this is a best practice, but especially if I know that I'm going to be using them somewhere in a document, I like to put them up like at the top, so that way I can refine them again. I mean, I could actually start using a notepad.
Yes.
That would be.
And just a note here for security purposes, your things like your location ID and your, things like this, right? Like your authentication token. Those aren't things that you want to leave in your code base.
Got it.
Even if you're like on a live stream, that's typically not a good practice to, display those things or to, those are the things you want to keep kind of hidden. I understand this is these are sandbox values and this is like for the purpose of learning, but I'm just saying if this were like,
yeah. And I guess that, and I've known that in the past, but I'm just curious, like, what could someone do with the location or an API key if they don't? Anthony said we can cover it. Ooh, we're getting, Roselle says, yeah, it's bad. You would get in trouble. You put those in a config file and then use git ignore. Oh, it's not very hard to set up, but once you do it once.
Yep.
Oh, awesome. If we set up .env, yeah. I don't know what that is, but cool. Sounds great.
Environment. Yes, they're talking about environment variables, which actually one of those is going to be an environment variable, or what's going to be the value for an environment variable.
Yeah.
Which actually is on this page.
Sweet.
But we needed the values first.
Let me get my actual notepad, which I'm just going to move over. Oh, it was my cover letter to someone for a job.
There you go.
That was exciting. Exciting news for a hot minute that anybody wanted to take screenshots. But
so you got that first line, right?
Yep. And I'm getting the other one for my credentials.
Yes. And you can see that Square really takes the access token seriously because they don't even show it to you. They just have a bunch of dots. And I think you can just like copy it and paste it somewhere.
Just in case I moved it off the screen. Get in the good habit. All right, cool. So I got all of that set up.
Yep. So for now, we are going to continue with the config file. And can you show my screen, please?
For sure.
Yay. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is now I have this little note. It's like what I was just saying. Like I just didn't follow my own advice. I put it in a config file, but I didn't ignore it. So please don't shoot the messenger. But you're going to do module.exports and then equals with TM and then open parens and open curly brace. You're essentially going to create an object inside of with TM, and you're going to wrap that object with the with TM.
Okay, I feel like I'm going to need to clean up my code a little bit, but I want to make sure to have you look at it before I delete anything. So I will do that in a moment.
Okay. And notice this env, this is your environment variable. Someone was just talking about envs. This is a way that you can create an environment variable in Next. And then again, if you were committing this to, say, a GitHub repo, GitHub, you would want to like ignore this. You don't want to include that in what you're committing. But you want to keep that locally.
And this is how you get the token to be read, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Without this, you cannot access the Square API. They won't let you make calls and get responses. I mean, you can make a call, but you won't get a response.
Got it. I'm getting there. Promise. Oh, that one needs.
Now, I guess the exception to what I just said, sometimes APIs have like read-only, endpoints that you don't need any security or authentication because you're just reading information and it's like publicly available information. Or information they don't deem needing to be behind a security wall.
Oh, oops. I just realized you're using Next. You're going to learn a lot of React frameworks on the show, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, probably. I will say, so since last time I had someone on the show, I had the Denver API meetup, and I was really excited because one of the questions from the guest was, what is something that web developers don't build themselves? Like when they're, using stuff. And I was like, frameworks. They do not build their own frameworks. I was really excited.
There was a time when a lot of these frameworks didn't exist, though. And, you would like code things. Well, we would use jQuery. But there was a time there wasn't any jQuery. That's like before my time. But it was like there was a time when people like coded on the web without jQuery, which I don't know how they did that. Like I would go crazy.
Redwoods is the best, of course. I'm guessing we're not talking about actual, trees. That's a framework.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it, but
dude, how many frameworks are there out there? Like, no wonder this is so
This is
complicated.
the question we never ask.
Like, especially when somebody's just like getting into it and they're like, hey, I want to learn, like, about this stuff. And I like, there's so much to learn, especially if you don't
Right.
want to know, like, don't know what you want to learn yet. Okay.
So this is why we were having a conversation about this offline, but this is why I was talking about it's really a good learning strategy is to take something like, for instance, building a React with Node, or building a Next app, right? Learning that vertical all the way and learning it thoroughly, and then being able to transfer that knowledge to something else. So places like Free Code Camp, or some people are gonna go to boot camps. I actually did the crazy route, and I did a CS degree, and then I did a boot camp, and then I kept learning on my
own. Anthony went to a boot camp, I believe. Pretty sure. There's 5 that are important React frameworks: Next, Redwood, Remix, Gatsby, and Blitz. Is Gatsby what WordPress uses? What is the one WordPress uses?
I think WordPress may use Gatsby.
I think it's Gatsby that WordPress uses. And that's something I really want to learn, because I think that's something that I'm really confused about still, is like, there's WordPress and you need to know stuff to be able to build like your site, yet how is WordPress made as well? So I know that I have somebody coming on the show to talk about Kafka and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, maybe this will start teaching me the, behind the scenes. But the part that I was going to ask you about, if I still needed it here, was line 5 through 10.
Oh, no.
I don't see it on your file.
No, I took that out and replaced it with.
I didn't think so, especially since we made another model exports. Go.
What's that red?
I think it had to go with the other one, maybe. Hey, you're there. So why are you red?
You have an open paren and then open curly brace. Environment.
Yay! Anthony, we're doing I'm hosting my first Twitter space about mental health and neurodivergency. Ooh. And it's at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern.
9 a.m. Pacific, yep. And I will be there.
Yes. Okay, let me see. So this one has,
I have a weird brain too. Titanium. We should hang out. Okay. So
where I don't know where this other closing one is. It's supposed to be.
Okay, React strict mode, true, experimental.
Because is there supposed to be one right here? Is that right?
No. There should be. Oh yeah. Yes.
Yes.
It typically goes, but yes, it typically goes on the next line.
I have one on the next line, but that's closing this one.
Yeah.
So would I not have one here?
No. If you go to loose, at the end of loose.
Yes.
You go inside of that curly brace.
Yes.
And you just hit enter.
Oh, so it would be like
automatically that. Indent. Actually, it didn't automatically indent for you. Just what is your indentation? An ENV. So that should be in. Let's clean up some of your code.
Please. So, thank you.
Typically, I do like 4 spaces, and there's actually extensions you can install that will do this automatically for you. It's not a linter. It's I guess the step before a linter. But if you go to ENV,
okay,
you want to indent that 4 spaces.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You want to, well, you can do 1 tab or 4 spaces.
Oh, okay.
Typically, your tab is 4 spaces, I think, by default.
Yeah.
And then again, Square Access Token, you want to indent that.
1 or 2?
one tab. So that's kind of four spaces. So that's kind
Yeah.
of the rule. Is when you have an opening curly brace on the next line, whether it's a function, whether it's an object, the next line should be indented.
Really quick, I just want to say, like, I appreciate that we're starting to have these conversations because Dan was talking about neurodiverse refers to a group, neurodivergent refers to an individual. And I just think that's really cool that we're starting to have these conversations. So I'm excited about talking about it tomorrow.
Yep.
And okay, so
I'm a little bit scared because I haven't like in a public like setting talked about it, my challenges with that. So
I think I like worst case, if you don't want to talk, you can ask the rest of us a bunch of questions. Or I'm pretty sure most people have learned that I just can talk a lot. So worst case, I'll just like ramble. But I think that I don't know. I think it's going to be really, really interesting to learn about like who we have join and talk about it, because I've learned a lot from Wesley Faulkner. He's not going to be available tomorrow. He'll be on another one. And he has just taught me so much of like also believing that I can do this, because being dyslexic and a coder, I've always been so afraid to do it. Oh yeah. You don't stick has bipolar or Twitter on your resume. I don't blame you, but most people can look up my like podcast and it says all the shit I have. So I kind of just roll with it. But okay, so is this curly bracket supposed to be here up here?
Yes.
Okay, so that's that curly bracket.
Kind of strange syntax, but yeah, it's okay.
And then that doesn't have a curly bracket. This one has a curly bracket. So
Square access token still needs to be indented.
So this or one more like that.
Right there. There you go. And Square access token, you see where the this Square access token : there should be a space right after that.
Oh, I think there is.
It's just nice.
There's a space there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right? That's where my cursor is. Yeah, there's a space there.
Can you go over one? Yeah, so and there needs to be yeah,
that's
there you
two
go.
Spaces. Cool. All right, and then so the React mode, that one doesn't have a curly bracket, but since it's part of this top curly bracket, I would do a tab.
Actually, no, it's right after a comma, so that's fine. And then the experimental, yes, ESM externals is already indented, and then that curly bracket you want to indent.
So this curly bracket is indented.
Yeah.
And then would this curly bracket be indented then, like that?
Which one?
This line 8.
No.
Okay.
That is the closing of the env.
Oh, I forgot a comma. Is there a comma at the end one?
No.
No.
No comma. ESM externals. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. So you can go hit Command S or Control S. I'm assuming you're on a Mac.
Yes, and
it's yelling at us for something. That module.exports. Let's see what it's saying. You see the red line underneath module.exports? I'm just curious as to why it's yelling.
Oh, a comma is expected.
Huh?
Const module any. And Moot Woot just recommended reading the access token in a form, a .env.local file when using Next.js.
Yes.
And Dan, no, we haven't talked about using Square versus Stripe.
So actually, Moot Woot is he works for Square.
Oh, yay!
He is the man.
Well, thank you for joining Teach Jenn Tech. I am a total noob at this stuff, so I appreciate Bakari coming on and teaching me all the things. As you said, he was helping me clean up my code. So, yeah. All right. Cool. And then I
yes,
need to
he's
learn
right
what
though.
Is it because
he's right? We should have a local environment local file.
I'm just going to type this. See if it. Nope. Sometimes I like to think that it's going to be my friend if I do that. All right. Well, it is saved.
We'll see if that presents a problem later.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't look like it should.
Because I don't know why.
I mean, the other thing we can do is look at the end of the line before it.
Parsing error for Babel.
I'd be curious about the Stripe versus Square discussion as well. Uh-oh, we're going to start a holy war here.
I mean, for this one, Moot Woot, like, you want to come on and help us talk about this? Because we can put this on pause and totally change it, because I am so much knowledge drop, and Bakari's definitely coming on the show again. Okay. So, wait.
Let's look at the end of your with TM.
Okay.
Can you scroll over? Okay, let's make sure that.
Oh, it's saying that I have an extra. Look, that's why.
There you go. Bam.
Let's see. I'm going to put this on screen. You can create a file named .env.local, then create a variable in there called Square _access _token and copy that string over there into, then you can call the process and to read the access token in.
Yeah, so we were going to do the second half of what he said, which is doing process.env. But yeah, he's right. We can just create a local file.
So when I create a local file, noob here, do I create it here in our folder for a local file?
Yeah, you can just create it at the top level. env.local.
env.local.
And then take that Square access token, what we put in the config file.
Where did my config file? Okay, there we go.
Here it is.
So take all of this?
Nope, just the Square access token.
Okay, do I take the env too, or just the Square access?
Just the Square access token and equals, that. And then we're going to copy that.
And then go to my env file.
Boom.
And then just call it.
And save it.
And then you can just call process.env. So does that mean?
We haven't gotten to that yet.
Okay.
But later on, we are going to call that access token. So we should be able to take out the env now. There we go.
And save.
Yep.
Change that to and remove the quotes.
You ready for the next part?
Yeah, I'm also was just reading what Moot just said. too.
Oh, I couldn't see it.
Here, I'll put it on screen.
Change that dot to an equals and remove the quotes and the spacing there. Ah, that's right.
Equal and remove the quotes and space. Would it be like this then?
Like typically, you want to have a space after an equals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. No spaces. Oh, okay. Is it because this isn't a const? Like,
yeah.
Okay, because this is
not a JavaScript file.
Okay.
It's recognized as a JavaScript file. It's just a.
Okay. Well then, okay. With everybody here, I'm gonna question y'all. So like we have the const with TM, and I've seen it with a lot of them, like even with like Express and stuff like that. There's spaces around it. So do you not do spaces around the equals on this kind of stuff, or do you do it with spaces?
So if you're in typically if you're in like a JavaScript file, I've always had spaces. It just looks too crowded to me. Yeah, okay. He agrees. In JavaScript files, keep the spaces, but in that environment local file, particularly, you don't want to have spaces.
I'll get it.
I believe it would be a parsing thing, because that file has to be parsed.
Does that mean like there's this parsing error? Do we need to be concerned about this?
I cannot find next babble. I think that should be fine.
And thank you, Moot. That makes sense why that no spaces there. Okay, cool. I'm ready for the next step. And if this parsing thing is an issue, we can come back to it.
We can come back, right? It shouldn't be. I mean, okay. So if you want to show my screen, the next thing we're going to build is we're going to build the payment form. Okay. And we're going to first, actually, before we do that, we're going to import 3 things from React Square Payments SDK, Web Payments SDK. Here, I'll just send this to you. And so those are 3 different payment types. The payment form encapsulates or wraps the credit card and ACH type. The payment form also has some important logic in there and some of those values that we got from our sandbox. Those go inside the payment form. So essentially, if you can think of like an actual form you'd fill out, right?
Okay.
So there's certain information that the Square API needs, right? From in that form. And some of the pieces of information are on my screen here. Well, of course, there's the actual payment form component, but there's this application ID. There's also the location ID down here.
Okay, and everything that's currently in the index.js file, we don't really need because we're redoing everything in there, right?
Yes, exactly.
Because with all of that, it was giving me an error for my import. So.
For your import, can you show your screen?
Yes. It was already okay. Could you please go away, Mister? It was already showing this where it's like all grayed out. That's why I wanted to delete it. So I just clicked it, and all this information came up.
Okay. Welcome to, where did all that come from? That welcome to, oh, create next step. Ah, I see. Your index.js already had some.
I just deleted it. So if I,
Yeah, you don't need it.
Go away.
I mean, you could leave on there like there was a footer, there's a nice footer, you know, maybe by yourself. But actually, can you put that back
To
and,
deleting it all.
yeah, the next stuff, and let's keep importing, but let's actually try something. Go ahead and save that.
Okay.
And then what we're gonna do is actually we're gonna run from your command line. We're actually going to run the development server. So in order to do that, we are going to say npm run dev, and it should be running. It should be able to be accessed from localhost 3000 unless there is an error. It said success. Missing script dev. Oh, this happened to me before. Run dev. Okay. Hit npm run. Okay. Let's try npm run dev again.
Again.
Let's go to your package JSON and make sure that.
Oh, look at that. You both said the same thing. I dig it.
You said what?
Moo just said you can check your package.json for runnable scripts available.
See, we're twins.
How do I do that? Is that
so
over
go to
here?
Just go to your.
Oh, it's right here. Got it.
There's a whole bunch of them. There's on Next. There's like one. There's like one at almost each level. But yeah, the scripts is dev, next dev, next start.
And then Anthony is suggesting npm start.
Yeah. The thing is, oh, interesting. Let's try running npm install because we just ran that, but let's try that npm install.
Anything after it?
No.
Oh, so I need to go. Okay, hold on. I see what you guys are talking about.
Oh, you're in the outer folder. I see.
But I don't remember not being into that one. So
the thing is, when we did create next app, it actually created a whole bunch of folders and folders within folders. And in order to run this next with this next project with that command, you have to be in the, inside that project, and you are a level above that project.
Okay. And then Anthony is suggesting that I need to reinstall the dependencies.
Just npm install.
Stray node models.
And then React Square. So actually, Moot just said it. The React Square Web Payments SDK.
Yay.
All right. Now, you got, looks like you got some kind of an error.
Can't, well, it was saying the web payment package.json, and then we just reinstalled it. So if I redo this one, I'm still getting an error for the next.config.js.
Error next transpile modules. What was that?
Sorry, I was just comparing the files.
I can't read because the unexpected error when trying to resolve. So it's trying to resolve React Square Web Payments SDK. Is it React Square Web Payments SDK or payment? Let's look at your config. Oh, let's try that.
With payments or payment?
I think it's Web Payments SDK.
I did that, and Anthony, I did rerun the run dev, and it still gave us the error.
We're still
even after it.
Next config error. Failed to load next config.js. See more info here. Next.js org docs messages next config error. Next transpile modules, an unexpected error happened when trying to resolve next React Square Web Payment SDK. Oh, let's go to your npm config. Oh, I'm sorry, your next config.js.
Is that in VS Code or in terminal still?
Yes, that's the file that we worked on together.
Okay. And
so
that's in here.
That with TM. You see that? Okay. Now go all the way to the end.
Oh.
S there. There we go. So it was trying to resolve that. It was like, I'm looking for this package, all across the internet, and I can't find it.
I appreciate everybody's help with this, and also because this is a big reason why I want to start like typing these, because I've been missing commas or something like that rather than just copy and paste, because it's teaching me where to look while for them too. Yay. Okay, so it should be live. And does this mean that I should be able to do like a local host to go look at it now?
You can try that. I have a suspicion that it may not be done, but I'm not sure, because it usually actually says like live running on localhost 3000.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. When it's done.
Too many tabs.
But it looks like it was just kind of sitting there.
Because I don't see, I know when we were, oh yeah.
Started server. Cool. Okay, got it.
I know Anthony says, he knows I don't want to read docs, but you should get in the habit of writing docs, because you realize very quickly that you don't want to have written docs, that you will want to have written docs.
That's very true.
That does not compute for me yet.
Basically, what he's saying is you just want to make sure that, like, for instance, when we got that error and it said, it had a URL that pointed to the Next.js docs for your next config file. It's good to get into the habit of like taking that URL, going to the docs, looking up the docs, and looking up what they say about how to configure, your Next.js in that, or docs about anything else, particularly when you're troubleshooting errors.
What do, like, at least for writing your own docs, what do y'all use for your own docs? Because like when I worked at Stoplight, like their docs were really easy to use, and it auto-generated as using like creating API specs.
Yeah, so there's Open API, Swagger. That's kind of one of the yeah, there's the readme.md files in your repo. But if you have like
Okay.
a larger organization, then sometimes yes, they have those auto-generated docs. There's like right. So for instance, like if you go to the Square documentation, there's like
Mhm.
an API reference,
Right.
and then there's actual like documentation. We were looking at the documentation to figure out how we needed to set up a Square account, how we needed to create these different values, so we could actually do a charge to a fake credit card. Um, but there's a ton of tools out there that have different levels of automation in creating your docs. I think
Okay.
kind of the big industry standards is like the Open API Swagger. And the idea is that you you think API first, and then those docs can be generated from a particular file that you create when you're writing your API initially.
Okay.
You do it in a YAML file or a JSON file, and your Swagger docs can be, and then Swagger has
I
a bunch of standards as well.
Yes. Anthony, let's do it because I think docs is one of the most confusing things ever, at least like what each of them do. Um I don't, well, maybe I like stoplights because it did describe like what your endpoints were, but that was back when I didn't understand APIs as well. So maybe it would be cool to create an API spec in stoplight, not because I'm like, ooh, I want to promote stoplight for everything, but that's like my reference, my like where I've been to like slowly start understanding it all. But okay, my local host is working.
Yes, and you have generated Next.js, the development page that we created.
Yay. And then Moot says that Square generate our docs off of an open API spec.
Oh, there we go. Bam. What did I just say? I think we're twins. I really think we're twins. You should see a picture of him and a picture of me, like right next to each other.
On like a serious note?
No.
Okay, because like I don't know what anybody looks like, so that would have been really funny.
But we both do have the Oakland connection, so I guess like I don't know.
I dig it.
I'm grasping for straws at this point.
I
Okay,
mean,
so
Moot Woot, I know that you're from Square, so either way, you need to hire Bakari because he is patient enough to teach me all this stuff. And if he's a DevRel, this is what DevRels have to do: is go on all these shows and teach us stuff. So I'm just saying, he's really cool. Okay. Anyway,
awkward.
You're welcome. I am that person. I am very awkward. My bad. You can ask Anthony. I do this stuff to him all the time, and Rizal, and Ramon, and Yere.
So I know it's 10:35, and I know you sent me a message here saying that we're gonna.
Yeah, we totally went over time. I'm down to continue or pause.
Man, I really want to.
So I do have something to throw out. I would be totally down to continue this later this week, if not like tomorrow or something. Oh, tomorrow is our Twitter space, or maybe the day after, because I think breaking it up makes it a lot more consumable, because anybody watching these later on, I think having just like the fact that we ran into errors is something that a lot of people are going to really benefit from, of learning how to do that. And then Anthony, I think it would be dope to have you show me how to do documentation, maybe using this as a reference, and then having you back on the show. And Moot Woot, I still want you on the show. Like, let's talk about like why Square over Stripe. Like, seriously, I think we should just do it.
Sounds good to me.
So, Are we at a good pausing point though? Because I know you got to go.
Yes, we are. We
Okay,
are. We
cool.
just generated. It's like this is a really good stopping point because we just generated our boilerplate Next.js page.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good place to pause. Next, on our next episode, we will actually import some.
Well, okay, put it this way. You got to be on the show and teach me something because like just expanding and learning from different people, I think is something so awesome. Like Anthony, AJC Web Dev, he's been on the show. He's also been watching these. So we've all been learning from each other, and it's helpful to be able to learn from a starting point of like when they're on different, like being able to see a previous show so they know where my knowledge is at. And I've actually been able to start to reteach this to people, which is like,
Oh, he just said DM me on Twitter.
you got it. Cool. Okay, so on our next episode.
Awesome. On our next episode, we will be importing some components and building out our integration. We also are going to build a quick and dirty endpoint in Next.js. So we'll have a full stack app running.
Yes. And I know that we went through a lot of theory today as well, which I appreciate, because learning the theory along with the actual practice of building these really helps with like getting the information to stick.
Yep.
Sweet. Oh my gosh.
Reminds me of my garage recording studio when I was in a band. This is my recording studio. Like legit, this is my recording studio. So
because I would just have fun, blasting everybody's coolness of Bakari. Like if you go to his Twitter, he has his link to like all of his like music that he currently has out, a couple singles. And at some point with everyone that's in band, can we do like a live stream of bands, like different people playing stuff? I feel like that would be really cool.
I think I might. I'd be open to that. The thing is, over a live stream, it's really hard because of the latency.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking about.
Places, but if you have like people that are in a certain geographical area, maybe.
I don't know. You're in California,
yep,
and
California.
We got Anthony's. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Like Anthony, we talk about your podcast or your live stream, live Twitter space. There we go. And this, dope. I like talking about people. It's fun. Y'all do cool stuff.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Thank you for the knowledge drop. Thank you. Yes, Anthony, people are dope. Thank you all for joining and commenting, and see you tomorrow at our Twitter space.
Yes, I will be there.
See you later. Bye.